Going live now in a countdown of 20 seconds.
Tell you something, all that glitters ain't gold. It's been a long road. Hey, happy New Year, people. You are at KEXU 96.1 FM, Core Magazine, East Oakland. And I am the Black Cripple.
That's PNN, not CNN, people. Yeah, we here on this liberated piece of Lashana Lodi land, live and direct with our poverty scholarship, our street scholarship, our ghetto scholar tips, and everything that ain't no mainstream corporate or even independent media gonna give you. We give it straight from the heart and straight to you. Yeah, this is PNN, not CNN. KEXU 96.1 FM, The Crossroads.
Yeah, the crossroads, baby. So we're gonna get back into this. We're gonna get the identification report, and today we're gonna just talk about what's going on, our upcoming gigs, and just talk about the New Year, talk about what happened last year, and yeah. But the identification report is always here, because unfortunately, identification is always there.
Oh, Leroy, Black Cripple, you bad. It's funny that you say that because it kind of really is an interesting oxymoron, and I think, oxymoron. I think I need to just pull that out for a second to get clear. People throw that word out a lot, and I don't even know if everybody clearly understands it. The root of it is the word gentry. Gentry means, goes all the way back to the settler colonizer, pauper law,
England,
right? Stealing fathers, as I call them. I know some people know them as the founding fathers. The ones who originally came and occupied this beautiful indigenous territory that was already occupied and discovered and loved and taken care of so that they could pull more of their, genocidal crap on First Peoples. But they were called the landed gentry, and that was not to be confused with the king and queen, right? Because out of all of these weird European, or as Queen Nandi calls them, peon countries, they actually had feudal societies. Again, a little history lesson for listeners and viewers tonight. Feudal societies means that you have literally one family, i.e. the king, queen, and all their court, who owns all the ish, and then all the rest of us begging for crumbs. That's funny. It sounds like right now.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, it's really interesting and not accidental that the feudal societies continue to today, because really what happened is, at that time, the feudal societies, aka the king and queen of these territories, who didn't have enough land but had a lot of guns, had a lot of weaponry, had a lot of their poor people to exploit as cannon fodder, went and stole indigenous territory near them, like Scotland and Ireland and Wales, and basically Africa, well, near them, before they even went there, right? They tested that ish out, that genocidal ish, on people who were near to them, who kind of looked like them, right? But who they decided were not as good as them. Anyway, it was an interesting thing, because the reason that they did that was because the king and the queen and the court didn't have enough room in their actual court for the other rich people, like the people who married into their family and this and that, right? So they're like, oh, well, let's see, what should we do? Oh, I know, let's go steal some indigenous people's land. There's an idea. And henceforth, the early developers were born. They were called the landed gentry, which meant that the king and queen would come up with a piece of paper saying basically you own 7 acres of this indigenous territory that's known as Ireland. Just go there with your horse and a few guns and take it.
Wow.
Right? So this paper trail theft did not begin, right, in the continent, did not begin here, it began in their own place, right? And what's really powerful, scary, sad is that those of you who know the history of places like Ireland and Scotland, they pulled the exact same edge. They tried that out on their own, essentially their own indigenous people, their own poor people that were nearby, right? It worked so well, destroying people under using the cross, you know, using the revolutionary known as Jesus, right? And colonizing indigenous peoples like the Gaelic or the Irish people, like the Scots, who actually were very indigenous. They believed in land, they prayed to Mother Earth, they were agrarian and cooperative and collective. Anyway, so they had this thing called the landed gentry. They would literally take land with a piece of paper. Now, fast forward 525 years, the enslavement of, you know, black and brown and poor people, the enslavement of Africans from the continent, the taking of the Congo and most of Turtle Island, and on the list goes, you have the landed gentry of today, which looks like a tech worker in a go-go bus, right? And who shows up with enough blood-stained dollars to pay these expanded and insane rent, right, that these scam lords have
$4,000, $5,000 a month.
right,
That's incredible.
right, that these scam lords have arbitrarily just come up with these amounts, get away with it in these trickster settler colonized cities. And basically what happens is they, with a piece of paper, wipe out communities like yours and mine, our families, folks like Jerry up in these poor people's suburbs, places and people like the folks up in Chico, barely housed, unhoused, holding on by a thread housed. So many of our folks gentrified into what I call poor people's suburbs because they can't no longer afford to live here, because the 21st century landed gentry happens to give them a piece of paper that says you're evicted, here's your rent increase, or guess what, here's a bus ticket out of town because you didn't ever belong here, because we got here and decided you didn't belong here. So that's our weird reality, right?
What's so messed up, Tiny, is that now new tech people and the old tech people are getting evicted. That's kind of weird.
Right? And I'm glad you brought that up. First of all, as our brother Diallo reminded us, shout outs to all of our comrades, for without whom there be no us. Shout out on the real to serve the people, San Jose. We love you. I know a lot of times they listen to Thursday night, and I just want to say that we love you. We also love the fact that you did not give up. That fight, now so people don't understand what's going on down there, the big fat, Googler, right? The Googler and the face crack and the Insta scam and all the other, gentry tech nation, as I call them, basically with pieces of paper and more bloodstained dollars than you could even imagine, bought the Mwekma Lishanaloni territory down there and said it was theirs.
Open the door.
Acres and acres and acres of it. And now
Open
basically
the door.
are saying that, they come in, they're going to build housing, right? Build thousands and thousands of acres of housing for their own workers. Now, it's interesting, right? It's interesting about that because, here, James, have a seat. We'll have you on in a little bit. It's interesting about that because what's good about it, because there's some one measly thing that's good. The one slice of it that's good is all of these tech companies should be building housing for these insane amount of workers that they bring in, right? The part that's BS about it is that they have absolutely no conversation or inclusion in their plan for the working class and poor people that have been evicted already in their town by them and their preceding hordes who took on stolen land before them. What we're saying to Google and Instascam and Facecrack and YouTube and all the digital streets we're using right now, ooh, what in the hip-hop crazy is that, is build the housing, but give 80 to 90% of it to the people already unhoused there. and build the 10% for the employees that you bus and call in. The other piece of it is make housing on your own redonkulously large campuses that you already have. Me and Leroy and all of the Poor Magazine family have been to the Google campus. We were invited in for Authors Talk. Thank you very much, William Fitzgerald. That said, we did a Stolen Land Hoarded Resources tour. We laid prayers for the ancestors of that land. We came in peace, as we always do. But what we saw is acres and acres of land that could be repurposed into housing, as well as the business that they have there. They don't need 90,000 more acres of housing, right? They don't need to steal literally thousands and thousands more of that Muwekma indigenous territory for their people to house in overpriced condos. What they do is they build on the land they already have and give the land that they just stole to the poor folks, the working class folks, and the pushed out folks of San Jose. Can I get a witness? Serve the people.
And it's kind of strange. So they're building housing, but the employees sleep in their cars in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You know?
Thank you. Well, and that's another topic. So in a digital sweatshop, as we all know, shout out to our fellow poverty scholars who work for hourly wages as independent contractors with no health care, no IRA, no benefits, no death benefits, no nothing. Lucky if they get their check on time. No vacation. God forbid they get hurt. The Amazon delivery and packing workers, so we can all get our packages really quick, who end up unable to pay the rents caused by their invasion of those territories, right? So again, for all the digital street CEOs who probably aren't listening, but maybe oddly might have switched the dial to PNNkexu, build housing on the land you've already stolen, and give back the indigenous occupied land that you just thought you bought because you can't buy and sell Mama Earth to the people already in our towns and cities so that we can actually be there. But on the real, the other piece that we have is something we call the Tech Reparations Fund. So real talk, shout out also to the conscious tech workers, William Fitzgerald and all the folks who are actually, there are some conscious tech workers. Shout out to any of y'all who might be listening, watching. We have a thing called the Tech Reparations Fund. It makes a direct connection between a portion of your overblown wage going to the folks that you've caused the removal and displacement of. So for instance, for folks like our brother James, who will be joining us a little later, and a lot of the residents right here on Black Arthur who suddenly find their rents inching up slowly and their scam lords harassing them more than usual, make sure that our folks can stay here. Help them with a reparations fund that would help them when their rent gets raised. Help them if they get evicted illegally so they can re-move into their own barrios and neighborhoods and towns. Tech Reparations Fund, hashtag Tech Reparations Fund, or go to poormag@gmail.com and send us an email, poormag@gmail.com. Send us an email if you're interested in this, because it's not about the politricksters, folks. It's about us. And that's even those of you conscious folks with race and class privilege who are watching and listening. You can actually make this happen. Shout out to Karina Gold if you're listening, to all the First Nations folks who are already here. We can't keep doing this without their permission, inclusion, involvement, and design. Shout out to the West Berkeley Shell Mound, to Segura Te Land Trust, and to all the other powerful liberation and decolonization projects.
All right. Thank you, Tiny. Now I want to go to my piece. It's a new year. And many, radio stations, television stations look back on the year. And I posted this on Facebook. I was looking back in the 28 years that I've been to the Bay Area. in the 20 years I've been in the Bay, I realized in the 20 years of these so-called movements, from the Bush years, you had the big war protests, to Occupy, to Black Lives Matter, to Me Too. All these movements did not include people with disabilities or poor people. In Occupy, Poor Magazine put together this research guide. And not only a research guide, but to tell Occupy that poor people with disabilities was on the streets before them. Remember that Occupy? When you pushed out poor and disabled people? In the Bush years, with those big war protest demonstrations, I was there, Poor Magazine was there, and this is when, I'm going to say it, when Van Jones was here. And we kept on seeing disabled people getting trampled by police constantly. Every protest was answered to the big protest. We saw people with disabilities getting trampled. And we used to go to the meetings with Van Jones, and they just didn't listen to us. So that's an example of a big movement not listening to poor people with disabilities. And also, they see in Black Lives Matter, once again, poor people with disabilities is not mentioned. Although we tried to get into Black Lives Matter, they won't listen to disability justice organizations like Sins and Valleys. They won't listen to Poor Magazine. So I say this because, it's been 28 years in the Bay Area, and it's been 20 years since the big war movement. And I bring it up because every movement did not reach out to poor people with disabilities. So we have to think about that when we go into this new year, and think about, how can we do this differently? So I just want to bring that up. Honey, you want to say something about that?
Well, yeah. The only thing I would add, because you really beautifully covered it, but just to be real, one of the things, sadly, that happens in new movements, first of all, shout out to all the young revolutionaries, waking up, staying up, getting woke, all of those things, all love and respect. This isn't a critique, as we often say, of poor. This is a love check. Because the bottom line is you need to look behind you, beneath you, beside you, for what was already there. Okay? So just sit with that as a prayer for a sec. Yes, as my brother Leroy says, one of the reasons we did the Decolonizer's Guide to a Humble Revolution, which is available online on poorpress.net for $5 or $10, along with the curriculum in case people want to get it. And it's a small but very powerful handbook, right? Is really, again, about getting up the fact that there were so many revolutionaries rooted in poverty and disability and indigenismo before you got here, fam. And so the answer, sadly, is that oftentimes movement building replicates all the capitalism, right? It's reinventing the wheel, but it made no sense to do that. Learn from your global south brothers and sisters, because whenever movements are launched, it's always with permission, respect, and understanding and overstanding of what was there before you got there. And another little bit of medicine from Turtle Island, from indigenous warriors across Mama Earth. Oftentimes here, people want results right away, based on the nonprofit industrial complex and the philanthropimping.
They want that big check.
Right? And the grant guideline dance and all of these things. But like a lot of our brothers and sisters across Mama Earth say, who are fighting and have been fighting for 525 years and beyond, these fights didn't start with us, and they aren't going to end with us. And so instead, again, of this idea that they got 6 months to make a project, finish the project, have an outcome, and decide what's up and solve it, right? Which is complete capitalism marked as non-profiteering or whatever. But what they do is it might take us literally 3 to 5 lifetimes and the 7 generations to come before we see results on these fights, right? You know, and so even as we check the goons like Bolsonaro, we have to look at the trajectory that the Amazonian indigenous peoples have been fighting those developers and colonizers since the first peoples were there and had to make contact with them, right? So they don't look at it in this weird capitalist 6 months to a year, you know, it's got to come up with a solution tomorrow outline. And the only other thing I would say about that is shout out to Idris Kelly Foundation. Shout out to DAMO, my brother Leroy's movement way back in the day. Shout out to the powerful leaders and warriors from First Nations across Mama Earth who've been fighting these fights in reservations. And shout out to the poverty scholars who fight every day in America KKK, whether they're called revolutionaries or not.
Amen, amen.
Right.
So can we close on that?
Yes, well, we're going to bring up Brother James.
Oh yeah, Brother
So,
James is in
And
the
we're going
house.
to talk about the book. Okay, so what's community radio, folks? This is community radio. I didn't say sort of community. It's vetted by some wizard behind a curtain community. I didn't say an editorial board that doesn't look like us, talk like us, or be like us, community radio. I said community radio right here on Black Arthur, in the hood, in East Oakland, in this occupied piece of Lashonaloni land. What does that mean? That means that our community's poverty scholars come in and speak on what's going on in their community. So it's our blessing and privilege to call up none other than the amazing James from right next door at 8032, 8034 Black Arthur. Come on up, James. So James, maybe have a seat. Maybe would you like to talk a little bit about how this week goes, or would you like to sing a song? What would you like to do?
I would like to sing a song.
That's what's up. James is a powerful singer. If you haven't already heard him, this is your moment, folks. And also, let's love and respect our community scholars, our singers, our elders, doo-wopsters, and our hip-hoppers before there even was a 50 Cent or a Mac Dre, right? All right. You want me to hold it for you? I think you got it.
Oh, that was the song.
Oh, you want to put on the song?
It's in here.
Oh, okay. Well, we might. I don't know if we can do that.
I got my chord.
What's the name of it? We might be able to ask Diallo. What do you want
Oh,
to
can we
the
plug
song?
it in?
It's about Bill.
I can plug it in.
It's
Oh.
called Treat Your Neighbor.
Or he can plug it in.
I can plug it in.
Queued up.
Yeah.
Is it queued up?
Yeah, I just got it.
Is it a song that might be on YouTube? Billy Nicholson, Treat Your Neighbor?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. So as he's doing it, getting this ready, this might be our last thing. Why don't you look it up while we're doing it? We're gonna do a little shout out for the upcoming Poverty Scholarship book.
Yes, the book is out.
Treat your neighbor.
Almost.
Hey, all right. Well, first of all, I just want to say, because we cried a lot today because this book came in. We say after 22 years of Poor Magazine, 525 years of oppression of indigenous and poor people across this part of Turtle Island, this textbook.
The textbook, lady.
Right,
Text like school.
right. It's a textbook and it's big. I want to first do a shout out to Sandra Estefan, without whom there would be no us, who could not. We put this together with Isa, with Diallo, with Roan, with Cynthia. Here, go ahead and give that to him, hon, if you got it.
Yeah, I got it.
So many powerful people made this possible. But first and foremost, I want to call out our ancestors, my mama Dee, for without whom there be no me. It was her vision in 2003 to make a little tiny version of this book. And it's hard for me to even talk about it because it came out of all of our struggle, all of our resistance. And fast forward 21 years, and this beautiful thing is here. This is Asian Robles. So to bring up another powerful elder and an ancestor member of Core Magazine family and our family elders board, Uncle Al Robles is also in here.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's deep. There's so many things to say and so many things to learn. But I want to say thank you, Asian, for making this beautiful original art that speaks to all of the different things and the ways which we, as poor people, ghetto scholars, street scholars, community store preachers, as we continue to fight, resist, and never give up. Poverty scholarship. That's poor people-led theory, art, words, and tears across Mama Earth.
Yeah, so you can get out the way, Cornell West, and we'll be knocking on your door any given the real poverty book
Exactly.
from Poverty Scholars.
And for folks, please show up for the releases of this. This is just a proof copy. Please show up. City Lights Books in San Francisco, February 10th. Black History Minute, we've got it out in time. February 10th, which is a Sunday at 5 o'clock. Show up at that one. If you can't make that one or you can make that one, everyone will be there. All the contributors, from Auntie Frances to Leroy to the children to the mamas. The next one is February 16th at the Cesar Chavez branch of the Oakland Public Library in the Fruitvale Village. That'll be at 1 o'clock on a Saturday. And lastly, in Frisco, February 24th, that's a Sunday at San Francisco Public Library, the Correct Room. And that one also equally powerful because it's going to be in honor of Uncle Al Robles, because that's his birthday the day before. Shout out to Tony, to Utopia, to Kim, to all of our beautiful Robles family. We love you. So, that said, we're going to have our beautiful brother James take it away. And I will be holding this microphone for you, James. Here, why don't you hold that?
Dedicate my song to the whole wide world. This is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
Song. This is for you this evening. Yo, friends, do unto others how you can have them. Do unto you. You know somebody need a helping hand. Reach out and teach them and do the all you can. Oh, this is the thing. Everyone can do it. And make something somebody with you and for me. Treat your neighbor like you wanna be treated.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Treat your neighbor
I hear that.
like you wanna be treated. Because of you gotta show how you must do. Gotta make it fun. Nice. You got all the way. Yeah, you think right. Now,
Oh, whoa.
like you wanna be treated. All right, treat your neighbor like you wanna be treated. Oh, yeah. Listen, this whole world can be a better place to live in. If you live a body rolling through and try those other things. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Huh. All right. Let me talk to something. Oh, there's one thing. Oh, we're gonna another now. We're gonna make the things just wrong. So much better. Treat your neighbor like you wanna be treated. All right now. Treat your neighbor like you wanna be treated. Oh, treat your neighbors like you wanna be treated. All right. Treat your neighbor like you wanna be treated. Listen now. Help me somebody. Help me somebody. Yeah. Help me somebody.
That's PNNkexu. Go ahead and say it, babe. PNN.
Keep being in.
KEXU.
KMSU.
96.9.
96.9.
All right, family. Where are we at, Mr. Lee?
Hey, East Oakland, right here at Poor Magazine, KXU 96.1 FM.
That's right. So we just heard from community scholar James, live next door. What's community radio? This is community radio right here on this piece of deep East Ohlone Lashon land, where we make sure that the neighbors actually treat each other right, right? Anything else you'd like to say, James, before you close out tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to tell everybody, Happy New Year, brothers and sisters. It's 2019, and we get things straighter, more better than they were last year.
Gosh,
I say God bless everyone out there in the radio world.
all right. Much love. All right. You heard it first, fam. Leave it.
All right, yeah, this is KEXU 96.1 FM, Poor Magazine, East Oakland. Hey, go to Poor Magazine site, poormagazine.org.
Show up at our book release.
Yeah, so the book release, check it out, 2019 Poverty Scholarship. You don't need no PhD, we have it right here. Hey, so stay tuned for Crib Hop Radio coming up next on KEXU 96.1 FM.
Woo! Everybody love it, James. That's what I'm talking about.
I stopped it.